to make it to put it in context, to make it easy for just the average contractor to understand. If you were operating your business, and then you decide that you want to expand, and you go out and take a 10% loan or a MCA, cash advance, or some sort of expensive loan, and you do that, and you deploy all the cash immediately, you go out and buy these assets, but it doesn't start giving you enough of a return to make the payments on that debt. What do? You slowly go bankrupt.
You run out of money. So do you think this is the beginning of more bankruptcies, or just a one-off, just a mismanagement here?
You got me up early. We're airing these things early now. This is I'm used to rolling out of bed around noon. You're making me work now. But no, this is great. I love today's topic. But before we get going on it, do yourself a solid, do us a solid, do the contracting industry a solid, and let everybody else know about the greatest podcast in the history of home services. Make sure you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, because the only way that we're going to elevate this industry is if we get a bunch of other businesses, I mean, other entrepreneurs to join in our quest to conquer home services. So please like and subscribe.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Well, I mean, you've got a lot of experience in this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you got the Berkey's
I
experience.
always come back from the contractor side, right? And again, I think that PE is a great thing for the industry. But I also think owning and being independent is just as important as well, right? I think they can coexist. I think they complement each other in a way. PE has an objective. They're going to go and get their 20% return for their investors. That means they're going to charge more because they have a lot more cost, which opens up opportunity for the independents to raise their pricing and be more profitable if they build an efficient business process, right? I think everyone should be working on that. I mean, it's exactly what Musk is doing in the government. You should be doing to your business. You should be scrutinizing everything you can. It's amazing, how much stuff we're paying for that we thought we canceled, but the bills still keep coming, right? Just stuff like that. Just paying attention to those things to help out, get your costs down. So when it comes to the private equity and the private sector of our industry, I think it's a great coexistence. I think it's done nothing but raise the tide. And when we raise the tide, we all win. I don't think there should be any negativity towards it. I think it should be like, let's embrace it. This is where our industry is what it's doing. I don't know the percentage. You may know more than I do about this, but what is the percent of the industry that's even bought up by private equity? Is it even reached 5%?
No, it's single digits still.
Yeah, it's single digits. So we're predominantly privately owned companies, right? And the opportunity is
private equity is like 100%, or it's like 95%, because you are your own private equity. Private equity just means private money, right? And so, and a lot of people go out and they borrow money from their friends and families. So in essence, you are private equity. The only difference between private equity is, unless you're publicly traded, you got private equity. So are you getting it from a sophisticated firm? You're getting it from your own back pocket. That's private equity.
Understood. But there is private equity and independently owned, right? Even though the concept is similar. And I just think that, again, I've said this before, we're in the Renaissance. This is just getting started. There's a lot more to come. Software, everything is going to change. The way we do business, it's just coming, and it is what it is. We're gonna, there's a resurgence of blue collar interest. We're putting trades back in the schools. This new generation is very interested in the trades, the younger guys. I mean, I have a company full of 20 and 30-year-olds. My whole company. I mean, it's very few people, that are over 40 in my company.
Maybe one. Maybe, well, I mean, that's in the field. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you even over 40? You're not, are you?
Yeah.
You're no?
49.
Oh, you're 49?
Mhm.
Okay. Dang, he's a young looking fella. You're older than I am. I'm 40. I'm 49.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. When's your birthday?
25th of June.
Yeah. So I'm December the 9th. So
Okay.
yeah, technically speaking, I'm on my 13th, 49.
Okay. 1349.
Jeez, man, we got a tech guy. Holy crap, man! I didn't realize that. No wonder our lighting sucks. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, he can't see, he can't hear. How's he ever gonna get this right? He's as old as he's one of the oldest guys here. But I mean, again, it's just like I build a company around young men and women, right? So that it has that energy that I want it to have, and um, that's where the trades are going. That new generation, and we built a system to accept these new folks with no experience, so that we can move them through the company and train them the way we want to train them. And that's the only way
Yeah.
we're growing. I mean, we don't actively pursue other people. They come in from time to time, and if they make the grade, we'll hire them. But we're not really pursuing. We're building
Yeah.
our
Well,
employee
that's that
base.
we were talking about. The leadership is very important in your
Yeah,
organization. Without leadership, that high levels of leadership that probably perform beyond your capability. Without that, the business doesn't grow
yeah,
the way it's been growing. Right.
exactly. Yeah, you
That's
can't.
that's that's what's missing in all of this, private equity talk, sales talk. Even in most people's own businesses, the bottleneck in your business, everybody out there listening, the bottleneck in your business could almost 99% of the time be found in the mirror. Unless you have exited your business and you're sitting as an independent shareholder that's
Mhm.
just an investor and you've got an independent management team doing it, the majority of the time you're going to be the bottleneck of the business.
Yep. Oh, I see it every day.
That's the hard truth.
Yep. Just get out of the
Yeah.
way. Quit complicating the company. I don't understand it. It seems like that's the way the industry goes. We complicate it. Just run it
Yeah.
linear, clean, just with process, right? People process and definition of roles and all these things matter. It just matters. You need to know what your job is, and you know what I mean? It just I don't know.
You
Why
know,
don't we take the
Another
time to
thing
do
that
that?
I think is an interesting direction that the industry is going. So I've seen less of this. I'm a tech and I'm just going to jump in and start a business. I've seen less of it than there's always going to be some of it, right?
Mhm.
But with kind of the private equity and the big businesses that are out there now and what's happening, I think there's more of a focus on what the business really is, which is, the business management component of it, the systems, the financials, the metrics, the stuff that really matters in building a business, not just the technical know-how, right? That's just
Mhm.
one element that, fulfillment is probably, maybe top 5
Mhm.
maybe of what it takes to actually run a successful HVAC plumbing electrical business. Um, so I seen a lot less of it. I seen a lot more people kind of realizing that, man, I really have to understand cash flow, and have to understand the P&L, and I have to understand, how to pay somebody so that my margins make sense, and I have to understand that I have a sales process and a lead generation system, and all of these systems that I have to understand before I can dip my toes in the water of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I think that will lead to a lot more successes and a lot less failures.
Yep. Well, I see the biggest culprit is labor costs being 30 plus percent in the COGS.
Yeah.
It seems to be the number one culprit. And then after that, it's overpaying for equipment because we, as an industry, we never say no to a price increase. When our vendors show up and they say we're raising price 10%, we just take it. and we need to stop that. We need to get our pricing right. So fixing the COGS labor is number one. Fixing the pricing that you or the cost of your equipment and parts and all that, and then getting your pricing right. Once you know got all that fixed. But what happens is these companies, the smaller they are, the higher the labor cost. I just see that. And so as they grow broke because the labor
Yep.
costs just
Yeah.
keep them down. They just can't seem to. Yeah, I'm up to 7-8 million now, but it's such a fight, right? And
That is that is, I'm glad you brought that up. That is that's near and dear to my heart because I see this all the time and I see it in these best practices groups and I see people advised to join these best practices groups and I keep seeing the same thing.
yeah.
They figure out the secret to elevating revenue. And then, I got to support it with all this stuff and all these people.
Mhm.
And they just have this collection of people. Every single person that you add to your business shouldn't be added to facilitate a role or perform a task. There should be an ROI associated with every person you bring in your business. You bring on another CSR. What are the metrics that CSR has to achieve in order for you to have a successful return on your investment?
Yep.
Provide that person with the job description, including those metrics, and hold that person accountable or get that person out.
Yep.
You're adding, we need to add a sales manager now. We need, we've grown to too many crews. We need to add another service manager. Like, okay, instead of just plugging somebody in to perform a task, which is going to kill your margin, what are the metrics that are required of that person to hit in order for you to, have a payback on that person?
Yeah.
Nobody thinks that way.
No.
Every person you add, your blended average ticket needs to go up. All of your metrics need to go up. Your revenue, not just your revenue, needs to go up. Every metric, your business needs to become more efficient with every person you add. Otherwise, it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Bad
Nobody
idea.
thinks that way. They just add the people. Like, oh, I want to hit 20 million. I need this. No, you don't.
Right.
That's not how you think.
Yeah. It's all about top line. Nothing is even thought about all the other stuff. And that's what I see on a daily basis and try to coach through is getting rid of that high labor cost. Now, but then you're like, the first question is, well, how do I keep my people if I lower my labor costs? Well, I'm not asking you to lower their pay. I'm asking you to lower your labor costs. Get
As
rid
you
of
pay
all
more,
this.
your labor costs should go down.
Yeah. And the first question I ask is, tell me how many spiffs you have and what they pay. And then I get the long list with the big old numbers on there. And I'm like, well, let's do the math on that. If you have a $25 spiff, you're paying a guy $25 and he's there 1 hour, you're paying him $50. You just doubled your labor costs. That's simple. They never think about it like that. So these best practices groups need to stop encouraging spiffs. It's too expensive, and it's like, oh, but if a guy flips an air conditioner, we give him a $250 spiff, or whatever it is, $400, whatever they're paying. It sounds all fine and dandy, but he flipped it, and now you're paying someone else 10% to sell it, and then you're paying to install it, and then you're wondering why your margin on an air conditioner, even though you got it priced at a 50, 60, I don't care what margin you're using. When I look at your financials, it's a 36 to a 42, no matter what you're charging. And we got to fix that. That's where the problem is, and how to fix it is what I teach them. And it doesn't take long, but it takes commitment. But there's a few things that need to be done to make that work. And so you've got to focus on the payroll, how you're paying, and simplify it and get it under control. You've got to work on closing percentage. If your closing percentage is down, all these things matter. You have to start at the very beginning. Like, just because if I'm trying to lower my labor cost in COGS, okay, the tech side, install side, sales side, it starts at the phone call that has absolutely nothing to do with that department. it literally starts at the phone call. Are we booking the calls? Number one, how many calls are we booking and not booking? What kind of calls are we booking? And then it goes to selection of the calls. Am I putting the right calls on the right people? Am I booking the right calls? Or am I just booking everything and just running a poorly run service board every day? You fix those things and it starts improving the numbers. So you can't just go and change your payroll system. It's not the answer. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
It's a whole,
That's the danger. I saw another one of these talking heads the other day on a different podcast. Saw a little short come up, and he's like, "Oh, I watch what all my competitors do, and I try to keep an eye on what everybody's doing, and I figure out what they're doing, and I repeat what they're doing, and so I see how much somebody's getting paid, how much they're paying over here, and I want to get the talent, so I pay a little bit more, and I do this, and I'm like, that is the most stupid ideology I've ever heard in my life. Because if you really understand business, a business is a number of systems that come together cohesively to produce an output, right? So if you copy somebody's pay system, but you don't have their sales system or the fulfillment system or the lead generation system or the lead fulfillment system or any of these other systems that
yeah,
really go into producing an output, you're just copying one part of a system which probably doesn't work with the rest of your system. So
that's
it's a
right.
stupid thing to do. So stop telling people to do it.
Yep.
I mean, just uh,
They need the full
the gold
picture.
chain, Reebok wearing gurus
Mm,
are just absolutely retarded sometimes. Can I say that? You
this
might have
is
to.
gross.
Oh, you can, because I didn't wear my gold chain today.
Uh,
And I've never owned a pair of Reeboks in my life. So,
I know a guy that can get you a gold chain if you ever want one. We can get one. It's a little sketchy
oh, Geo?
down in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were thinking about Geo, the guy that works here.
Oh yeah, he
Every
wears.
time we have a company event, he's just got so much gold
He's
on.
decked out, especially at Christmas.
He's never offered to share his gold chains with me.
All right, we'll get your own. I know a guy. They may be counting money in the back with the big money counter, but
Right.
yeah.
But,
But I'll tell you what. Not that it continued on that tangent, but this is the same guru that also sold his business to private equity for some untold sum of money. It's not nearly what he was telling everybody he sold it for. And that business has lost $1 million+ a month every month for the last 18 months. In February, they lost $1.4 million. It's right in my backyard, and it's absolutely the worst put together business ever that somebody in private equity ever bought. So be careful who you're getting your advice from.
do you got initials or anything that you can share? Or are you just going to leave it like that?
I think most people will figure it out.
Absolutely. And back to the, the businesses at hand. I mean, everything's solvable. There's enough money in your company.
There's enough money in private equity and without a private equity to
Yeah.
solve all of these
If you've
problems.
got $1 million business, have you ever just stopped and thought $1 million went through this business this year? $1 million, right? But we don't even realize it when we get it to $1 million because there's no money left over, right? But if you really thought about it from the context that I have a business that brought in $1 million, that's pretty wild if you really think about it. If you just stop for a second and think about it, that's a lot of money, right? So what do we need to do to keep as much of that as possible? Why don't we let it all go out the back door? It comes in the front door and just whoosh right out the back. How do we close the
I'll tell
back
you my
door and
theory on
keep
why.
that money? Hmm?
I don't think people want that to happen. I don't think they do it intentionally.
No, they
I
don't
think
do it
they do it because
intentionally.
I think they do it. The one word, if I had to narrow it down to one word, fear.
Mhm.
And fear keeps people from making difficult decisions, from holding people accountable, from setting realistic goals and expectations, to promoting some, a team member to customer if you have to occasionally, because man, I see this all the time. Even with partners I have, they're not hitting budget. I'm like, Okay, where I come from, you got an independent management team, and you're sitting there as an investor. If your investment, if you're the person that's managing your investment, doesn't give you a required return, it is not hitting your plan. How long do you keep that person before you say, you know what, I need a new manager,
Yeah.
right? So I've come to a point in my career, and I used to be way more like, okay, let's work with it, let's build it. This we got like got to turn this ship, and it's going to take a long BS, right? In my opinion, if you go 3 months in a row without hitting your plan and significantly underperforming, the only job that you have as a manager in this business, you're out.
3
I can
months
tell
is all you
you
give them. That's it.
at this point, yeah, if you're a sophisticated manager that's operating an established business that is doing any reasonable amount of revenue and you're independent, you're there for one reason, and that is to hit the budget,
Yeah.
period. And if you can't do that, give you 3 months, you wasted 3 months of my time, go waste somebody else's time.
Gotcha. So it sounds to me like you're like not messing around. You just walk around making sure they're either doing the job or getting rid of them, right? Got the wielding the axe at all times. Is
I
that
mean,
what
at
I'm?
some point, I mean, this isn't a charity, right? I mean, and you may view this as a family business and everybody's part of your family, and your labor percentage is operating at 50 to 60%, and you're just gonna let it go because don't call yourself a for-profit business or an actual business or a business person. Like, you're just doing charity work when you do that.
Well, think.
You're
Well,
not
here's what
feeding
happens. I
anybody.
mean,
You're not
do you agree with this?
elevating.
Do you agree with what I'm about to say? That we make the wrong hires for the wrong positions. You know, we have these positions that we think we need to fill. Like for instance, if you need a sales manager, these companies typically get their best tech or the tech that everybody reaches out to, and they make him the sales manager, and then that
They
goes
don't provide them adequate
it's a
training. They don't
disaster.
provide them adequate expectation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no training, no
Number one,
anything. You just
don't hire managers from within this industry.
yeah.
How many people like that's the biggest mistake people make. Like, oh, this guy managed for Berkey's, or this guy managed at Gettle, or this guy managed
Hmm.
at Service Champions. Oh, this person like that person probably got promoted from a field position to the management position that they're in. They were in there for 18, months, and now they're looking for another job.
Yep.
Don't hire that person.
Yep. Plan on firing that person that you promote from the field because it's what's going to happen, or they're going to leave because you're not prepared to teach them, right? If we're going to move someone into management, why don't we have a process built first? Build a process. What exactly are we going to do? And don't make all these bonuses based on revenue. That's the other big mistake they all make is bonusing on revenue. Well, I've got to sell an air conditioner for $12,000 to be profitable, but I'm allowing you to discount it to 10.5, and you're getting bonused on that because it's based on revenue. That's
another mistake that
it's a bad
last
mistake.
company I referenced it.
Yeah, you can't do that. And also, I see this a lot. Also, when you have salespeople in your company, I know we have these little ratios. Like, okay, I'm paying the guy 10% at book. He can take $500 off. He gets his 10%. But if he goes below that $500, he gets 8% or 9% or whatever. You know, they have this cascading percentage as they reduce it. But when I go back and show them the numbers, I said, okay, let's think about this for a second. You got a system that's $12,000, and you're going to pay the guy 10% on book price, right? $1,200, and he discounts it to 10 for easy math, and you're going to pay him 8%. All right. Well, when the difference between that is $800 and $1,200 is $400, but what did the company take? What was the company's hit? It was $2,000.
Yeah.
See, that's not fair. That's not right. So these little things that these best practices groups teach this. They teach this. Start it here and lower it, but they never look at the company's side of the equation. The company reduced the price by $2,000 and still paid the guy $800. That's a $2,800 hit. There goes your profit. Bye-bye. See you. Even if you just reduce it $1,000.
Commission scale was based on, I mean, when I first saw it, it's the same one that's been around since, we used to have this book called Instafix that had, this company model on it. And that was around the year 2000. It's 25 years ago. In the book, I remember the first book, the average recommended price for selling an air conditioning system was like $6,500. Okay. If you aren't selling it for $15,000 today, you're not doing it the right way, right? It's just, that's what you need to sell it for now, right? So it's more than doubled, right? So back in the day at 6,500, if you had a 10%, 8%, every 5% discount you took, like a 2-point hit on commission. That model kind of worked closer because the delta of the dollars weren't so big.
Mm-hmm.
But when you 2.5x the price of that thing, that delta is massive now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Taking a 2% hit on a $6,000 versus a 2% hit on $15,000, massive hit to the company.
Yep. And so these are the things that we do that cause us to not make money. And it's every company I review. Obviously, they're coming to us because I'm not making any money. And we show them, well, this is why. And this is one of the biggest one is the way you're paying is just killing your company. You can't base everything on revenue. You gotta base it on margins when it comes to COGS. When it comes to the cost of doing business, anything above the line, which is the gross profit, above that line should be based on the gross profit. Should not be based on the revenue.
Yep.
Because it's too easy to cheat the system. Company loses every time when you base it on revenue. The company loses at a ratio that's unheard of. It's 300% or more. That the company takes the hit versus the employee. And so make it 50-50 and see how the employee reacts. Right? So you take, right?
50-50.
Look, I'm just going to split it with you 50-50. You want to discount it $1,000? Fine. You pay $5, I'll pay $5. That's fine. I'll do that all day long. You want to do that? Well, heck no, I don't. Because now I went from 1,200 to 700.
Yep.
Right? That's a lot. So
I mean, I'm guilty of that. I played that game for years. I played the let's negotiate commissions as a sales manager, GM. I played that game with sales guys out in the field on, they'd be calling me from their trucks. I think I can get it for this, but that'll kill my commission. Can I,
yeah. Yeah.
I played the game, so I remember it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to get, I'll buy you a 6-pack of beer if you sell it for that. That's about it.
Yeah. Right. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we make. That adds up really fast. It adds up really fast. And the company takes the entire hit, which is not the way it should be. You shouldn't be taking the hit on that. You should be sharing the hit. And then therefore, when you share it, it won't happen. You'll sell it a book.
That's it. Yeah. I love the idea of just, this is the price.
Yeah.
This is what we sell it at, period. We don't deviate from it.
Yep.
That's as my old partner used to say, it's called a salesman. It's not called a give it away man.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Or screw it up, man. Right. Customer called you. They had a need. Why'd you walk away with nothing?
Yeah. So, overall, kind of bringing it back to what's the state of the industry in private equity. I think we're still sitting in a really great spot. I think it's going to be a hiccup. It was bound to happen. I think it's going to give, it's going to give people kind of outside investors a little pause, and they're going to watch and see what happens. So, but I think the interest rate is going to affect investment in the industry more than, a couple of bankruptcies. But
we're not going back to zero interest rates. We're not going back to 3%.
No,
That's not happening. If we're lucky, we'll get to 5, but I don't even see that for many years. I think the economy will work fine in the 6 range. If we get in the 6s, houses will start moving, things will start happening. But I don't think we'll ever get back to the 3s unless we just have a catastrophic event and they got to lower them to get the economy going again. I mean, other than that.
And here's why I think the industry is going to be fine.
Mhm.
We're still relatively speaking compared, we still have a lot of consolidation left to go relative to other industries. We've also got higher returns. If you know how to operate one of these businesses, if you really understand them, the way that you and I are talking about it, and understand the margins and what drives the margins of these businesses, you can consistently produce 15 to 20% returns
Mhm.
on millions of dollars,
Mhm.
right? And putting millions of and several of those companies together, the ability to do that over and over, once you've figured out that formula, is very attractive. It's
Very
more attractive
attractive.
than most other spaces, and that still exists today. But which is why, I said that earlier. If you were to, you know, put me in charge of all the private equity in the world, the one thing that I would do is go out and find the talent.
Yeah.
The people that understood these models, understood how to operate, understood how to utilize all of the systems, understood the budgeting process, and could deliver those returns. I would go out and find those people, find people with leadership skills, and then just plug them into that system because I know I could make money doing that.
Yep.
I think what private equity struggles to find is like, okay, well, you got the gold chain guru over here that's got that business, and then you've got the 50-year-old business that's doing, maybe $100 million over here, but most of those businesses are sold, right? So
Yep.
what do we have left? And here's what we have left: we have hundreds of thousands of businesses that have, that are doing billions and billions of dollars of revenue annually, that are all underperforming and don't really know how to maximize their business.
Yep.
Right. So it's a unique spot. So those of us that are operators and understand how to do that, or those that become experts in that and can produce a consistent return, will still be very attractive to private
Oh,
equity
yeah.
because they know that they can,
Yeah.
beat that.
You start running your business like it should be, get your financials audited, get your processes in place, you'll get a multiple that makes a big difference because the more put together your business is, the more valuable it is. It's just plain and simple. You can still command high multiples even in today's market if you've got it dialed in. But,
Yeah.
There's a cost to dialing it in for you and a risk, right? So let's get them perfect. And then once you get them perfect, you're in the driver's seat. You keep it, make a ton of money, or you sell it. It's up to you now. That's where you need to always get yourself to, is where you're in the driver's seat and you can make a decision, whatever you want to make. You can just make it. You can decide to sell. You can decide to keep it. You can decide to grow it. You can, whatever it is that you want to do, put yourself in that position. But to do that, we got to get out of these bad habits. And we got to quit giving away money to satisfy employees. Build a culture and a place where people want to work, and they'll make good money, but not at the detriment of the business. That's what goes on here. The least paid person in the company in most businesses under 5 million is the owner.
Yeah.
It's the lowest paid one. He's not the highest paid one. Let's put it that way. That doesn't, I wouldn't say the lowest paid one, but I would say in most cases, he isn't the highest paid person in the company, which is wrong. And with that, we are out of time, sir. Got to wrap it up here. I appreciate everybody.
This is a good discussion. Hopefully I didn't get us thrown off the air on a couple of my rants.
No, I'm going to have to start it a little bit later. You haven't had enough Red Bull for me. I was wanting more energy out of you. I mean, you like sleepwalking today or something. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
No BS with Billy and Landon is produced and delivered to you by Sarah Systems. At Sarah Systems, we've created a better way to run your home service business and unlock unprecedented growth. Our field service software was designed by real home service professionals to help you save steps, charge for previously unbillable time, and win more business. But the true change requires more than software. Our live coaching helps you understand and control the aspects of your business that matter most. It's about time for a new era of service, and we're leading the way. If you're ready to join the hundreds of other contractors who've been able to increase profit margins more than 50% within 6 months, visit Sera.tech today. That's Sera, SERA.tech today.